Welcome back. If I had known this was going to be so easy, I would have had it done long ago. I have my food dehydrator over here. It's going to be backwards. We've got our dried stuff first. You see, this is what the onion is like when it's dried, eh? That's the Tropicana longa onion. The green tops and everything I have put in there. These little trays, they can get too hot and deform. So I had the dehydrator up on a higher temperature once, and I had this one on top, and that's why it's deformed. So that's the pile of dried onion pieces I have. I had 5 trays out of the 6. This is the second batch I done. The first batch I had all 6 trays filled. But at this state, you can just take your hands Now once you get so far along, it's harder to break up these bigger pieces just because there's all the small pieces in among it. So you've got this colander here. Zoom you back out a bit. Now that's if you want bigger pieces the size of the holes, and you'll sift out anything that'll go down through the holes, and then you'll crush up the bigger ones afterwards. And with this colander, that's what you got. That's minced onion, is what they would call it. Now if you wanted onion powder, you'd have to use a colander with smaller holes. And keep doing it with your hands if you want. The other option is to use some kind of a grinder, say a coffee grinder or a food processor. I'm going to use a meat grinder. Now I have the corner of this cupboard set up. I have my blenders and meat grinder and several things that stays permanent here, so it might look a little crowded. In the meat grinder, you see there's a couple holes plugged because I done one batch last night, and I'm like, well, I'm going to do another batch tonight, so why bother to clean it out. Those holes, that's onion powder that plugged in from the last one, but this is the smallest piece, the piece with the smallest holes that I got when I bought my meat grinder. Hopefully, let's see. make sure it's all the way in. Now that was 5 minutes here and about the same over there, so about 10 minutes to do the grinding up portion. So here's what you have, an onion powder. That was the batch I done last night, 6 trays. I didn't get 500 mils, but the bottle was filled a long ways up. And now we'll put this batch over in this bottle. See, just a little less. And we're going to put the, so that was Tropicana Longa. We're going to put the New York early onions in the dehydrator now. Okay, I didn't realize there are some Tropicana Longa in with this, and I have quite a few onions poked in this bag, so this is going to be another 2 batches. But before you start cutting up onions, you know what happens with onions when you start cutting them. They're a little strong on the eyes. You see I got a fan set up over there? So that'll blow the gases from the onions away from me, so that I can sit there and do this entire thing in one shot. I won't get the gases up and causing me to cry. I got a cutting board here. Make sure you sharpen your knife before you start. I mean, you're hitting this board quite often, so I just sharpened the knife, and I got a fair sized bowl here that I can put all the onion skins in. You see, they're really starting to go bad, so I've got to get them dried now. Take off all the bad outside. Since they sprouted like onions do, they split into 3 onions, you see. There's still some dry up here, but because I'm trying to get as much as I can, I'm going to cut this firm part down here first. Then I can pull off another layer of the dry. And yeah, just put in the top and all, the entire thing that's still edible. Now, some people use the steep the skins for an onion tea. I tried it, I wasn't impressed. You see, some of them really split. Which is quite surprising. I mean, I set them in seed in the spring. That's last spring, or last winter. And they didn't even die back. They just kept on growing and split up like this. So Tropicana Longa, they are a good onion. I mean, they're tasty and all, so it's a matter of taste whether you want to actually grow them. But for storing, you forget it. So you cut off the roots and stick them in there. Doesn't really matter if you get a bit of the dry skin in there. I guess for that matter, you can put an all dry skin, but the skin don't have the flavor as the actual still moist onion does. So if you put the skin in, it'll dry and go to powder, and it'll be mixed in among your onion. You wouldn't notice it. It's just, I would assume if you put in a lot, then you'd start to notice it, and you might not get the same quality of powder. No, we're not. Now let's see if that's enough to cover a tray. I don't fight with it to get a thin layer. Some are doubled up in that, but by the time that dries out, it'll look like what you've seen earlier with the ones that I showed you already dried. So there, I have the tray put over on the base, and I'll continue that with the other 5 trays, and then we'll start up the dehydrator. Got down to a New York early onion, so I decided I'd show you that one. There I have all 6 trays filled and stacked up on the base. And here's the top. You see the motor is in the top, the heater is here, and the heat blows out there and blows it down through. Set that there. And it gives you your temperatures, you see. Herbs and spices. It says 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius. So I take my dial here and I turn it to 35 degrees Celsius, and then I take the cord, I don't need the fan now, I plug that in. And it turns on when I plug it in. There's no on-off switch. So I'll leave that there now for 24 hours, and it'll be looking like the dried onion that you just seen at the beginning of the video. Now, I remembered I only had a few New York earlies. think that's a New York early, but I'm not sure, you see. Well, here's another New York early, so that's a Tropicana longa. The New York earlies didn't sprout. Here's another one. So the New York earlies keeps for a while. The Tropicana longa, like I said in an earlier video, they did die back, and so they kept for a month or so, but they didn't keep very long. So if you're going to grow Tropicana longa, you harvest them from the garden as you need a onion once they start to bulb up, and then when you've got to, the frost is coming and you've got to take them all up, then you either use them up quickly, or you will have to powder them or pickle them or something, preserve them somehow. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next video.